in order to prevent a double loss, losing to the Raiders two in a row essentially, like they did to Kansas and Arizona State last year, and really, kicking themselves out of the conference race essentially.
The thing they have to do, and it is going to be a challenge, this is ultimately where I think the game will be won or lost. This team, they have to run the football. They don't have to be as good as they've been when LJ was at peak health, but they cannot rush for under 100 yards like they did against Texas Tech. And that will be hard against a TCU defense that is really good at stopping the run, and they're not that great at stopping the pass. And you might look at that and say, well, of course, just throw the ball on them and march up and down the field. And if that works, great. But this team has not shown an ability to spread it all over the yard for four quarters. When they've been at their best, and A-Rod's talked about this a lot, when this offense is at their best, they're running the football and they're making things happen on play action. And that never happened against Texas Tech. They were never able to get into that many even third and manageables. It felt like first down, nothing. Second down, nothing. Then you're into an obvious passing down. And as A-Rod noted earlier in the week on Coordinator's Corner, they were having to max protect 7 dudes because Texas Tech's defensive line was so good. And so they weren't even able to get into a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. So to me, it comes back to you've got to find a way to run the football. If that is more Bear Bachmeier, so be it. If he needs to tote the ball 20 times, that's not ideal, but we're at the part of the season where you have to win at any way cost. And in order to beat TCU, they're going to have to run the ball for over 100 yards. And, let's cross our fingers, guys, that LJ is healthier and that he can look more like himself. But if that's not the case, if he's only going to carry it 11 times or so and not be super effective, then I think you got to find a way to get Bear more involved in the run game, because this team is built for the run. They have a good offensive line. They have a dual threat quarterback. They've got a great run blocking tight end in Carson Ryan. They absolutely have to establish the run. And if they don't, that doesn't mean they can't win, but I have a hard time seeing them winning this week if they have a similar rushing attack as they did last week.
And TCU's got a good run defense, second in the Big 12 in stopping the run during league play. 133 yards per game allowed is the Horned Frogs. So that would be an impressive accomplishment if BYU can get that run game established once again. How do you feel about the defense, Matt? The secondary maybe in particular, because TCU, they love to air it out. We all know Josh Hoover is excellent, at least when he faces BYU. He's brilliant against the Cougars 2 years ago. How confident are you in this secondary going up against a TCU passing attack that's got some big play receivers?
I'm pretty confident because they have 12 intercepted passes on the year, and Josh Hoover and this TCU offense, they've had a problem with turnovers. And all 3 of their losses, they've turned it over 3 times. This BYU defense is not quite as opportunistic as last year's defense. You go back to that Texas Tech game, they had 2 plays, one of which I thought was the play of the game when Evan Johnson was waiting for an interception in the first quarter, and the receiver from, I forget his first name, last name Eason. You would know, Mitch. What's his first name?
Gosh, I'm drawing a blank as well.
Anyways, you know the play where,
Yes,
where it was third and long, and it looked like that could have been a pick six, and Evan Johnson got beat to the ball, and then they went down and scored and went up 10-0. If BYU had made a play there, it's maybe a different football game, and then Trey Alexander dropped the pick. So, but this defense, they have made enough plays, I think, to be considered one of the better defenses in the Big 12 at forcing turnovers, and TCU is prone to turning it over. So to answer your question, Mitch, I'm not too worried. I think Evan Johnson has done a nice job. The one place I worry a little bit would be that spot between Maury Bamba and Trey Alexander. They've had moments of brilliance, but not as consistent as Evan Johnson. But then behind them, I really like Tanner Wall. I think he's a ball hawk. And then you got Falatau Satuwala, who's maybe the most improved defensive player this season for BYU. He's been a stud, and Raider Demooney looked good. So I think they'll be able to handle this TCU passing offense, which is second best in the Big 12, they're really good. And Josh Hoover, his first career start was against BYU in 2023, and he threw for over 400 yards. You can't let that happen again. I do think TCU will have yards. I think they will move the football at times. But if you can force field goals and get a couple turnovers, that's the one thing last week. When you think about this defense, I thought they played pretty well against Tech. They just didn't force turnovers. If they had forced a couple turnovers, then I think we're talking about a different game. Maybe not a win, but you could be talking about a closer loss, and you're feeling a little bit differently. So they've got to find a way to force TCU into 2 or 3 turnovers, and TCU has shown they'll turn it over, but BYU's got to capitalize on those opportunities tonight.
Matt, this is kind of a big picture question because I look at, after the game last week, Kalani was really upset with Parker Kingston's muff punt, the shank punt by Sam Vanderhaar. And then you look at Bear Bachmeier obviously having his worst game of the season. They just haven't played really clean football for a few weeks now. Do you think that the moment is getting too big for this team where, the pressure of being 8-0 heading into the game last week, number 7 in the playoff rankings? Obviously, Texas Tech was a great team and, one of those teams that might be able to win it all this year. But as they head down these final 3 games into this home stretch, do you think that the pressure of, not repeating what happened last year and really getting to put their stamp on the season as a special one and being able to get to Arlington, do you think the moment is getting too big for this team?
No, I don't think the moment's too big. I like what I heard from the coordinators this week at media availability. I liked what I heard from Folatau Satuala when he spoke to the media, when he said, hey, we have been in this position before, and we were complacent last year. This team, there's a lot of returning players from last year's team. That's something I've liked a lot about this BYU football program these last 2 years, is they have leaned in to the guys that they have. That doesn't mean you don't go into the portal and supplement. They've certainly done that. And they've had portal players on this team that have made a huge impact. But the large majority of your main players have been in the program for more than a season. And so they remember the sting of last year. So I'm not worried at all that the moment's too big. I think quite simply that Texas Tech loss is explained in 2 ways to me. Number one, I think that BYU against the Red Raiders, they were not opportunistic. There were plays to be made in that football game that would have made it a close game. And they did not make the majority of those plays. Let's not forget that. Chase Roberts had a chance to make a highlight reel, long pass catch that would have put them in scoring position in the first half. He didn't make the play. They didn't score. They didn't make a field goal when they could have cut it to a 1-score lead. What impact does that have on that game? Just getting some points on the board and settling the nerves a little bit. There were plays all over the field to be made against the best defense, the best team in the Big 12. They did not make those plays. The only play that I thought they made in that game in a key moment was Raider Demooney breaking up Texas Tech, trying to really put the hammer down at the end of the first half. Other than that, Tech made all the plays. So to me, if BYU can get back to what they have done all season, and we talked about it, run the football, force turnovers, be good on special teams. What we saw last week in Lubbock, that was not indicative of what the special teams unit has been like under Kelly Papiga. They have been so good. We have talked about that in a number of games, whether it being Will Farron on game-winning field goal kicks or Kingston on good punt returns. I know he's had a couple fumbles this year, but for the majority of his career, he's been an active presence in the special teams. If you just get back to being you, run the football a little bit, be solid on special teams, force a couple turnovers, you're fine. You got 2 of 3 at home. So to me, I would not panic. I don't think the pressure's there. I think you just get back to playing BYU football. And if you can do that, I think they'll win today. And then it sets up the biggest game of the year next week in Cincinnati.
Last thing for you, man. I'm glad you brought up the special teams because I know you love the special teams. And look, it's been so big for BYU these last few years. Does it kind of surprise you, like it did me this week, that BYU in Big 12 play is 15th in the league in field goal percentage, only 63%. do you still trust Will Ferrin if a game is on the line? Because we know in these Big 12 games, margins are tight. Do you still trust Big Game Bill?
I still trust Big Game Bill. That is very surprising to me. And the special teams play this year has been sort of puzzling at times. Even last year, like we haven't seen a shank from Sam Vanderhaar his whole career at BYU, and then he's got 2. The thing about Will, I wonder, and you guys were there, so you would know better than a lot of fans. The wind seemed like it was a much bigger factor last week than maybe anyone realized. And when you're kicking from 50-plus yards and you got wind like that, you can hit the ball perfectly, but the wind could take it, and you don't account for it properly. So I just wonder that field goal miss last week, how much did the wind play a role in it? Hard to say, but we do know it was windy.
Yep.
And then, he had that stretch in the middle of the year where he was missing a couple. So, but he hasn't been, from my vantage point, shaky in confidence. And I don't think he's had any, horrible misses. I think he's had a couple misses that were off that you would expect him to make, but I haven't seen just a complete shank. And then you look at him after the kick and he looks distraught. I still think he's got the confidence. I still believe in him. I think he'll bounce back in a big way tonight when called upon. So I still believe in his special teams. I think there's been enough goodwill done over these past couple seasons to where it's not time to bail on them yet. I think Parker will bounce back. I think Will bounce back. Sam will bounce back. I'm not worried, but I am surprised that they, especially last week, I did not see that coming at all. But I am surprised that they have not been as good as they were last year.
He's Matt Baiamonte. You can listen to him on the BYU Sports Network. He will have pregame coverage of BYU football versus TCU that you can listen to right here on KSL News Radio. Matt, it's always a pleasure having you on Cougar Sports Saturday. Have a great broadcast today, and we'll talk, I'm assume, at LES tonight.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk. Love you guys. Love the show. Everything you guys do with KSL and Cougar Sports Saturday is great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. That's Matt Baiamonte. Love you, too. So we'll get to a break here. We'll talk more BYU, TCU next, and then we'll also get some BYU basketball talk as the Cougs get set to take on the UConn Huskies right here on KSL.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything, that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware.
Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code BOOST25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code BOOST25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BOOST25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Fresh off its UK tour. Over 200 sold-out performances. The Covey invites you to step back in time to see the true story of the boy band that changed music forever. See The Osmonds, a new musical, in its exclusive North American premiere. A national theatrical event that starts right here in Provo in March 2026. Go behind the scenes and see the Osmonds as they rise to fame with hits like Yo-Yo, Crazy Horses, and Puppy Love. And see the mistake that brought it all crashing to the ground. A tale of redemption, family, and sacrifice, as told by Jay Osmond himself. The North American premiere of The Osmonds, a new musical, coming to the Covey in March 2026. Presented in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism. Get tickets at coveycenter.org.
Turn up the lights. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland, Cougar Sports Saturday, KSL News Radio. It's a BYU game day. It's a Big 12 game day, and it's a different league in the Big 12. We do it different in the Big 12. Got some great football going on right now. Game of note with Cougar fans' probably attention tuned into this one. Arizona at number 25, Cincinnati. The Bearcats just scored a touchdown. It's 27-24 in favor of Arizona. Where do you stand on this, Kyle? Do you want to see Cincinnati take an L, or Cincinnati escapes and gets a win and potentially, assuming BYU wins today and creates a top 25 matchup next week in Cincinnati? Where do you stand on this? Do you want Cincinnati to take another L to give them a second Big 12 loss?
I think for the sake of entertainment, I'm going to say I want Cincinnati to win this game to set up a bigger matchup next week.
Yeah.
For ease of victory, maybe the Bearcats are down and out if they lose this game and BYU just rolls next week. But I think that, BYU, the way that the committee has viewed them previously, how they might be viewing them this season, BYU needs as many quality victories as they can get. TCU would be a good win tonight. Cincinnati win over a 2-loss Cincinnati team as opposed to a 3-loss Cincinnati team would look a lot better, especially if that's a ranked game next week.
I think that's a good point that would make you say, hey, hopefully Cincinnati can get this win, because BYU is trying to still get back into the bracket. Because technically, if the season ended today, they're out. And if to get another data point that maybe impresses that committee that doesn't seem to ever be impressed with BYU and that stretch Y, no matter what BYU's circumstances are, maybe that's the play here.
It's
just
funny.
Cincinnati to win.
It would be so disheartening for Cougar fans to see them if they were 12th in the final rankings and like North Texas gets in over them. It'd just be like, oh, again.
And fans are hearing that and going, how on earth does that happen? We don't need to get too deep in the weeds,
sure.
but you could see maybe the ACC champ doesn't get in, creates a path for a second group of 5 team. Look, I'm okay with the group of 5 teams being in the playoff. I think that's what's good for the sport, because I want games like James Madison versus someone in the Sun Belt to mean something. I want, Memphis USF to mean something. But, yeah, that would be a bitter pill to swallow. Other scores in the Big 12. This one is strange. Kansas State at Oklahoma State. I would have thought this would have been a blowout. K-State's only up 14-6, 10:28 to go in the fourth quarter. Down in the valley, in the desert, West Virginia at Arizona State. Yeah, tell someone 5 years ago this would be a conference game. Arizona State's up 22-10, 12:52 to go in the third quarter. Other games around the Big 12 Conference today. Number 6 Texas Tech hosts UCF at 1:30 p.m. on Fox. Utah, number 13 Utes, take on the Baylor Bears. Hey, this is a matchup that just basically swapped out college football playoff committee members. Hey, Mack Rhodes, Baylor, Mark Harlan, Utah. Cougar fans are already drawing up the tinfoil conspiracies. Harlan's going to keep BYU out of the playoff. That's not necessarily how it goes, folks. But 5 p.m. tonight on ESPN2. And then, of course, the Cougs take on TCU 8:15 on ESPN. Any other Big 12 storylines? Well, actually, you know what? Hold that thought. We got to get to a break. We're up against it. We got to get to a break. And then hour number 2, we will get to your conversation, Kyle, with John Talmoy-Payau, defensive tackle for the Cougars, in the heart of that defensive line as BYU gets set to take on the TCU Horned Frogs in a bounce-back spot. First home game in Provo in 4 weeks. Let's get ready for it here on Cougar Sports Saturday on KSL News Radio, and it's powered by KSL Sports.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Federal officers are starting raids in Charlotte, North Carolina, says the Department of Homeland Security. It says the action is to ensure Americans are safe and public safety threats from immigrants in the U.S. illegally are removed. The mayor, city, and county officials in Charlotte and in Asheville, North Carolina, have issued statements against the raids, saying people should feel safe in their homes and in the streets, no matter their status. They're talking about what they call undisciplined agents pointing weapons at unarmed civilians and indiscriminate rounding up of civilians who are sleeping in their homes. More action expected after Jeffrey Epstein emails mentioning President Trump were released this week by the House Oversight Committee. The president ordering the Justice Department to investigate the convicted sex offenders' possible ties to Democrats. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
Former President Clinton did travel on Epstein's plane multiple times after his presidency, but Clinton says he was unaware of Epstein's crimes and never visited Epstein's private island. He has not been accused of wrongdoing. A spokesperson for the Clinton Foundation says these emails prove Bill Clinton did nothing and knew nothing. The rest is noise meant to distract from election losses, backfiring shutdowns, and who knows what else.
Dozens of House Republicans are expected to break with the president and vote next week to demand the release of the FBI's full Epstein files. Torrential rain hitting Southern California, bringing a second threat as wildfires burn. ABC's Jacqueline Lee in Pacific Palisades.
California in the midst of rapid rainfall. More than 22 million residents bracing for a high risk of flash flooding, mudslide, and debris flow, with up to 6 inches or more of rain through Saturday evening. While the rain should help firefighters, loose topsoil after wildfires pose a great risk for mudslides.
ABC's Jacqueline Lee. You're listening to ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
It's 103 at KSL News Radio. I'm Isabella Sosa. KSL's top local story this hour. The National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for parts of Utah's mountains, ending a warm, dry stretch that has delayed ski season openings. Up to a foot of snow is possible in the southern mountains by Monday, with several inches expected in the Wasatch Range. The storm moves into southwest Utah tonight with valley rain and mountain snowfall heading north tomorrow and into Monday. More showers are possible later in the week as Utah heads into a more wet pattern. Our top national story this hour, a federal judge in New York signaled his approval for a deal that would allow a prominent opioid manufacturer to settle thousands of lawsuits. ABC's Brian Clark has details.
900,000 deaths in the U.S. have been linked to opioids since 1999, 3 years after OxyContin went on the market. The drug's manufacturer, Purdue Pharma, and its controlling Sackler family have received heavy blame for the opioid epidemic. Friday, a bankruptcy judge in New York said he would approve a settlement that would allow the Sacklers to pay up to $7 billion to settle thousands of lawsuits. The Sacklers would cease to own the company. They would not be allowed to have their names on any more institutions. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Folk singer Todd Snyder has died at 59 years old. Snyder's management team says he was diagnosed with pneumonia shortly after he canceled a tour after he had been a victim of assault in the Salt Lake City area earlier this month. The scratch tour was to support his most recent album, High, Lonesome, and Then Some, which released in October. Coming up, enjoy the warmth while it lasts. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 104.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs may change, kids grow, new memes will come out. But also, what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you actually don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, that finds and fixes any issues before you even notice them. It's like a super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from threats online. Plus, you get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices with no one battling for bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices will be working in perfect harmony, and you get their best equipment with no annual contracts, no fees, no strings. So even though your kids will grow up and you still won't understand 6-7, your internet will stay sharp, reliable, and most important, the price will stay put. All with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Those crashes northbound on I-15 are clearing up. The right shoulder is blocked in South Jordan, but traffic has picked up and is flowing freely. A storm system from California will bring clouds here this weekend with slightly colder temperatures in the 50s and 40s. But today, the high is 65. Right now, it's 64 and mostly cloudy. I'm Isabella Sosa, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, powered by KSL Sports. We are about 7 hours away from kickoff between BYU and TCU, 4 hours away from tip-off between BYU and UConn and men's hoops. But looking at football tonight, I had the opportunity to talk with BYU defensive tackle John Tamoipeau earlier this week. I started off asking JT what takeaways he could take away from that loss against Texas Tech.
JT, you got a disappointing trip to Lubbock last week. What are the biggest takeaways that you guys can come away with from that game?
I think the biggest takeaways for us is just understanding who we really are. We've been having a really blessed and great season, and last week was the outcome that we got. So I think sometimes it's good for teams to get knocked down and see how they respond, because sometimes they do come back faster. So maybe we just needed that. Maybe we just needed that humble moment where we just had to regroup. And this week we get to prove what type of team we really are, coming back from that tough loss last week.
Do you feel like it was a matter of execution? The game plan was okay, but you guys just didn't, live up to what the prep was heading into that game? Obviously, coming off a bye week as well.
Yeah, obviously, man, there's no excuse. No excuse, man. We took that loss. But honestly, man, it's just on us, Nothing really special they did. Nothing stood out that they did. It was just everything came down to our 111 job and how we executed, and we did execute it well enough last week.
One of the bright spots that I thought from that game from you guys as a front seven and a defense as a whole was the ability to get pressure on their quarterback, Morton. I thought you guys were active and in the backfield quite a bit in that game, got a lot of push up front with you and Keanu. Was that something where you guys, felt like there was something that you were able to do differently? Was it, something from their offensive line? And maybe how can you take the ability to get that pressure into this next game against TCU with Hoover at quarterback?
I mean, one thing we just always said, especially last week, now going into this week, just us doing our 111th and more, not only doing our job, but just doing more to help out the other 9 on the field, Me and Keanu, we had a lot to prove last week. We know they have a great front seven, and we just want to show them that we also have a great front seven. We also have a great D line. So we just want to show them that we're also up there with them too. And just going into this week, I feel like we need to carry that on. The pressures, the run stops, the fits, everything. I feel like we just need to continue to get better every single week with that, and I feel like we are right now.
It seems like every week in the Big 12, there's always a high-powered offense that you guys are facing, good quarterback play, and that's no different this week with Josh Hoover. What have you seen so far from your game prep about Josh Hoover and maybe their offense as a whole that, you guys need to attack?
Oh, man, they're very explosive offense. They have a lot of athletes that can make plays. They're fast. They have a good O-line that works together. And, of course, man, they have a really good quarterback. Not a good quarterback, they got a great quarterback. So we understand our job with him and understand what he can do and how he can impact the game a lot by just his arm. And we know he's a sling gunner, so, we're going to try to slow him down and stuff. And we're going to have some surprises for him in the backfield.
It's been a while since you guys have been at home. At least it feels that way. I mean, the Utah game was the last time you guys played at LES. How nice is it to be back at home this week?
Oh, man, it's a blessing. I love playing home. Just the environment, the atmosphere, having all the family, friends, and, the rock in the crowd, man. Playing in that stadium is nothing different. Last time we played TCU, we was at their home field, so now they get to come to us. So we're going to see how they control that environment, how they control our fans and stuff. But I know they're going to have fun. But, man, they're super happy to be home.
You guys fell to 12th in the college football playoff rankings this week. Last year, suffered back-to-back losses. You knew what that experience was like and the disappointment that brought. How do you make it so that this little blip doesn't turn into what it did last year, where you guys were prevented from ultimately reaching your goal because of some unfortunate tiebreakers, but you guys still have the chance to make it to Arlington with these 3 games ahead of you?
Obviously, we learned a lot from last year. Last year kind of the same thing happened, but this year I think we just we know how to focus not on the outside noise, whether it's good or bad news. I think we know we still have a 3-game season, and we have to finish to get back where we wanted to, and we just got to take it week by week. I know a lot of boys are excited, us to get back to them and stuff, but we understand what we have to do, what we have to work on every single week, and we got to earn it. So we're just taking it game by game now, and we'll see what happens.
Couple last things for you, JT. Every season has, its unique storylines. You're obviously, new teammates each year and guys coming in with the portal and whatnot, freshmen, guys coming and going. But How do you and your teammates bond? Like during the week, during like these game, road trips, what have you guys found to build chemistry throughout this season? I've heard, Clash Royale, some of the game, games like that have been played. How have you and your defensive teammates bonded this season?
Man, I think the biggest thing for us is food. Man, after class, after lift in the morning, you can always see all of us sitting down eating somewhere. Like me and the boys, we just went to Nico's today. Nico's Pizza. We all just went over there, went to go eat lunch and everything and all that stuff. So I think the biggest thing that always brings us together is just food, and us going to sit down just allows us, just to be with each other, just to hang out with each other and stuff. So I'll say that's our biggest thing, at least for the big boys up front. We always going to eat. So, and then on like away trips and stuff, man, the hotels are fun. We're very blessed to have Coach Kalani as a coach, and he believes in just letting us relax and having a lot of freedom during the games. So, just being at the hotel, being able to mess around with the boys a little bit, had to go play board games and stuff and all of that. We have a lot of freedom just to do some team bonding in the hotel, so our heads are not really stressed about the game and stuff, so he just allows us to do that stuff, and that's why we're so close.
You had some Nico's Pizza, but if you had to choose your meal, like if you had one meal to eat for the rest of your life, what are you going with?
Oh, man, I'm going fried chicken and potato salad and rice. Yeah, that's my favorite meal. My mama always made it for me ever since I was a kid, and that's my number one meal. I'll eat that every day.
Nice, I love it. Last thing for you, you speak Tongan. Have you had the chance to chop it up on the field with your teammates? Do you speak Tongan with anybody on the coaching staff, any of your teammates?
Usually just like during the game and stuff. We're always talking up front and everything, especially when we're moving around, when we have games, when we have blitzes. The front D-line, most of us is poly, so we're always talking. And then we just have to be careful sometimes, when we're playing other teams that also have Polynesian guys on the O-line, they're going to understand what we're saying and stuff. But mostly these last 2 weeks we're able to speak a different language, for we can communicate without the O-line knowing. So, yeah, me, Keanu, Logan, and also we got Bodie learning some too. So that's usually how we communicate in our little different language in Tongan.
That was my conversation with BYU defensive tackle John Tamoipeau. Interesting little nugget there. I didn't expect that out of that interview with JT, but the fact that defensive line is able to speak another language, Mitch, to help communicate with each other and not give anything away to the opposing offense, kind of fascinating.
It is, and maybe what's not a interesting nugget, but maybe just a common sense nugget, these defensive linemen bond over food. I love that little tidbit there from John Tamoipeau. And one thing about him, too, he's got a good personality. If you ever listen to Media Availability Sound, you can listen to all of it on Cougar Tracks podcast. You'll hear a laugh in the background from during the coordinator speaking. There's always a BYU player laughing. It's John Tamoipeau. He's it's a very contagious laugh. You always hear it every single practice. He's full of energy. John Tamoipeau, great interview with him. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll hear from BYU linebacker Jack Kelly, fresh off a 2-sack performance. We'll also get a check-in on a big Big 12 game here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Throughout life, we have plenty of special occasions and events, whether it's a prom, a graduation, a mission call, a new job, or how about a wedding? Mr. Mac has always been there to help serve you for all of your monumental moments. Mr. Mac has been family-owned for more than 50 years, and that's important. And they'll make sure that you look and feel great, with affordability always in mind. The Mr. Mac family creates long-lasting relationships with their customers, and they've been doing it for generations. 9 locations across the Wasatch Front or online at Mr. Mac TrueContact.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Alpine Home Medical. We bring wellness home.
Hey folks, it's Jay Broadbent here with Alpine Home Medical, celebrating 28 years of keeping Utah and Idaho comfortable and at home. Back in '97, I started with a truck, a dream, and a lot more hair. Today, we've got 11 stores from Idaho Falls to St. George. From the moment you step into our clean, welcoming showrooms, you'll feel the Alpine difference. Our team will be there to listen and guide you to the best solutions for your needs. We believe that the right equipment can transform lives. We're honored to be a part of your healthcare journey and to help you live the life you deserve. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical. We bring wellness home.
Amanda, every business needs IT help. And sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't. Or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure. So both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
BYU football gears up to take on the TCU Horned Frogs tonight, and one of BYU's top defensive players is Jack Kelly. And here's my chat with BYU's captain linebacker, Jack Kelly, here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Jack just got done talking with Coach Hill, and he said defense today maybe one of the best practices he's seen from you guys since he's been here. How would you describe what practice was like today?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it was our best one as well. People were just making plays. We were doing our assignment, playing with effort. I think that's the biggest thing is just the amount of effort that was shown today. Finishing every play with 11 hats around the ball. It was just a fly-around type of day, make plays, and everyone playing for each other.
What's inspiring that? Is it just so you just chalk that up to the loss, or was there something else that's kind of inspiring that intensity in practice today?
No, I think it's just really being grateful and humble for where we're at. We are 8-1. We're in a great spot.
we have more opportunities ahead, and we can't let any of those opportunities pass us up by letting a day of practice slip or anything like that. So we really just came out here, attacked it, and tried to make it our best day.
Did you or the rest of the team pay any attention to the playoff rankings this week?
No, not really. It is what it is. If we don't take care of these next 3 games, well, first of all, this week, but if we don't take care of these weeks, then those rankings aren't going to matter at the end of the season. So we're really just focused on now, today, and getting better today.
Coming out of the Texas Tech game, the defense, had moments where you guys were really playing at a high level. But what were areas that, when you sized up the film and dove into it, that you feel like are areas to correct going forward?
I think just making mistakes, but then using the effort to correct those mistakes. So maybe a D-line messed up something and then I didn't feel it, or I messed something up and they didn't feel it. So it's really just playing off of each other and playing with effort, I think, is going to be the biggest thing to fill in those mistakes, because they're going to happen every game. So we have to make sure we're doing it to the best of our ability.
What are your impressions of this TCU offense? I know you weren't part of the BYU program 2 years ago when BYU last played TCU, but your impressions of this offense and Josh Hoover at quarterback?
Yeah, they got a great quarterback. The O-line's solid. Great running backs, great receivers. They got talent everywhere, so it's going to be a good challenge for us. I think they're going to come out. They're a high-powered offense. They're going to throw the ball a lot. But then when they do run the ball, they got those great backs and O-line. So it's going to be a good challenge for us, but it's an exciting one as well.
Was it last week, Coach Hill kind of touched on this, that he felt like you and this whole linebacker unit were healthier than maybe you guys have been in a month. Would you agree with that sentiment? I mean, the stats probably don't lie. You guys each all had sacks, the starters, but how would you kind of assess that?
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely our healthiest week. The weeks prior, me and Zay were banged up and maybe not playing to the best of our abilities. So last week, it was definitely the best we felt since the start of the season, and made some plays, so hopefully we can continue that this week.
How nice is it, though, coming back from a loss that you're returning home? Because last year, I mean, it sounds so simple, but last year you guys lost a game at home, then went on the road, just to get back to home, because it's been a while since you guys played at LES.
Yeah, I think Doc Main was telling me today like 2 of our last 7 games or something like that has been at home. So it's going to be great to get back in front of Cougar Nation, get back in the routine of being at home, and just go out there and make plays in front of our fans and then do it for each other.
How do you guys feel like you've been, playing? Would you feel like there was progress made defensively, despite how that game played out against Texas Tech? Like, if so, where were areas you felt like were points of success for this defense?
Yeah, I think so for sure. We got better in stopping the run. Obviously, they still broke some runs, but overall it was better. I think we got better in pass coverage and blitzing. So it's kind of like an overall. I feel like we got better. Obviously, there's going to be improvements. We want to continue to improve each and every day, but there was a lot of positives.
I know you guys are just focused on this one game, but just how motivated is this group to try and get to Arlington and get to that Big 12 championship game and have a chance, because last year you guys were so close?
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be there. That's one of our goals for sure. But like you said, we got to focus on this week. We got to make sure that we win this game and take it day by day. Don't get too far ahead, because that's when you're going to let something slip on your day-to-day basis, and that's going to show up in games.
How much are you appreciating and enjoying the final ride in college football? This is your senior year. How much are you enjoying this?
I've been loving it. The brotherhood, I mean, you just look on it and see how much fun we're having, how much these people love me and I love them. It's awesome. And then in front of this amazing fan base, it's been phenomenal and nothing short of just exceptional, honestly.
To follow up on that, just this BYU experience, I'm curious if you go back to when you arrived here in the winter of 2024 to now, like, has it exceeded your expectations? Like, just how this BYU experience has been to this point?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't really know much of what to expect coming in. I didn't really know too many people that were on BYU at the time, so it's definitely exceeded my expectations, just the love and the brotherhood that's here. The coaches do a phenomenal job at setting the culture and making sure we buy into that. And so everyone that they bring in here is really loving and your brother. So it's just like really a big family, and you just enjoy every day. It's not like coming in, oh, I have to practice. It's like I get to practice with these guys. We get to have fun. We get to have this juice together. It's awesome.
Last thing for you, Jack, and appreciate the time. How would you describe the feeling when you know you've got a path to the quarterback to getting a sack? Last week you had 2. Just how would you describe that moment, that feeling?
I think it's second to none for me. Obviously, hopefully you get a strip sack in there as well. But once you see it and your move works, it's just like, I need to get him down. You can't get juked because a lot of these quarterbacks are excellent at breaking the pocket and escaping. So it's really just run full speed, but don't get juked. But the feeling is second to none. It's just awesome, and you love to make plays for this team.
And that's BYU linebacker Jack Kelly. here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Appreciate Jack for spending some time with me after practice, getting ready for this BYU TCU game. And as you get ready for BYU TCU, on BYU game days, you got to go check out Emi Sushi in Provo, 366 North University Avenue. What's great about Emi Sushi and ramen is that on BYU game days, you can show your Cougar spirit by wearing BYU gear. You get 10% off your meal. You can try the Provo roll, the BYU roll. The BYU roll is my favorite personally. That one I really enjoy. Emi Sushi is a great spot, Kyle.
Yeah, they also have a game day combo, Mitch, that you can get ramen to go with the sushi, and then you also get a drink. The ramen is handcrafted by Oscar, the sushi
Yeah, we were there.
Chef. He was outstanding, and he's been doing it for over 10 years, Mitch, so he knows what he's doing. And, yeah, like you said, the BYU and Provo roll you can't miss.
Great service, people that are experts in sushi and ramen. They know how to create great food, great experience. And also, too, if sushi's maybe not your thing or ramen, they also have good Chinese, Japanese option, a lot of different options at Emi Sushi and ramen. More than just good food, it's the craftsmanship behind every dish. Again, that you see that expertise when you see their staff and the customer service as well. And the ramen, too, made with noodles, made in-house, soup-based, freshly made. So great stuff at Emi Sushi and Ramen, 366 North University Avenue in Provo. And if you mention KSL Cougar Sports Saturday, you'll get 15% off. So we always like discounts on food. Just mention Cougar Sports Saturday at Emi Sushi and Ramen.
Hi, I'm Andy, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. As a product development manager, I make sure every piece of fine jewelry at Shane Company is meticulously designed for quality. From 14-karat gold chains, pearl necklaces, diamond studs, and of course, dream engagement rings. We ensure each piece meets our high-quality standards every step of the way, including the smallest details. Come see for yourself. Visit us in-store or at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
The perfect present doesn't always come wrapped under the tree. Treat your loved ones to an unforgettable afternoon or evening of music and laughter with the Utah Symphony at Abravanel Hall. With tickets to our holiday programs this December, you're not just giving a gift. You're sharing a heartfelt experience that will create cherished memories. Show them you care with the gift of music this season. Visit usuo.org/holiday to get your tickets.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
It's 1:32 at KSL News Radio. I'm Isabella Sosa. KSL's top local story this hour. 2 juveniles are seriously injured after an e-bike crash in South Jordan. South Jordan police say the kids were riding an off-road electric bike yesterday when a female driver turned right on a red light and hit them at 11800 South and 4000 West. Both kids were taken to Primary Children's Hospital. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Donald Trump has ordered the Department of Justice to investigate convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's possible ties to Democrats, especially former President Bill Clinton. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang reports from Washington.
Attorney General Pam Bondi publicly responding on Friday, saying the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity. This comes even though Bondi herself had closed the Epstein case earlier this year, declaring we did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Top Democrats calling Trump panicked and desperate.
This is just days after Epstein emails were released mentioning President Trump. Jeff Bezos' space flight company Blue Origin launched its new Glenn rocket mission to Mars, carrying orbital probes into space. Here's retired astronaut and senior advisor for innovation in the Office of the Chief Engineer at the Johnson Space Center, Charles Camarda.
These satellites are going to study the magnetosphere on Mars. They're going to try to understand what happened to the atmosphere there. It's also going to give us some insight when we develop communication systems for future missions to Mars.
This is part of NASA's Escapade mission. Coming up, the warmest day of the week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 1:33.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. The roads have mostly cleared up. The right shoulder northbound I-15 in South Jordan is still blocked, but traffic is unaffected. The high for today is 65 with a low of 48 and a 0% chance of rain. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 64. I'm Isabella Sosa, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Coming to you live from Broadcast House here in Salt Lake City, Utah. There's some scores that went final in the Big 12. Arizona gets the upset win at number 25 Cincinnati, 30-24. So most likely now, Kyle, BYU's game next week at Cincinnati will not be a top 25 matchup, as the Bearcats will likely fall out of the top 25. But begs the question, should Arizona jump into the top 25? That was a game BYU won back on October 11th in double overtime. Arizona's a good football team, 7-3 this year. 2 of their losses to BYU and to Houston that were very close. That could have been a 9-1 football team. Arizona, good team this year. And then also in the Big 12, Kansas State takes down Oklahoma State 14-6. Your thoughts on some of those finals around the Big 12 conference this week?
Yeah, it's interesting, Mitch. It just makes me think, you look at, the Cincinnati team, would it have been better to have a win against a ranked Cincinnati team, or do they look back at the Arizona win from earlier in the season and say, hey, that was a good win? Like, how does the committee look at things in the present and future tense of things as opposed to something that was earlier on in the season? Because, we were down on the field for the end of that Arizona game, Mitch. Noah Fafita, he's a great quarterback, one of the best in the
Excellent.
Big 12, and BYU really had to do a ton there in the end of that game to come back and win that game, because you think about what happened, fast start, they end up having that weather delay, and then they come out of that weather delay and just played really poorly until the end of the fourth quarter when Bear Bachmeyer had his heroics. But yeah, Arizona's a good football team. Cincinnati clearly is a good football team as well. And so even though they lose that game, Mitch, I think that, Cincinnati, maybe their hopes for, a good season to, end this thing coming down the stretch here. BYU, they have to take care of business today, but Cincinnati's no slouch as well next week.
Yeah, Cincinnati without their star running back once again, Evan Pryor. He was out today. That's been kind of a big absence for the Bearcats. We'll see if he returns next week when BYU travels out to Cincy. That'll be the first trip to Cincinnati since 2016. I always think back to the Tommy Tuberville game in 16 where that Cincinnati fan, after BYU beat Cincinnati, they say, "Quit stealing from us, Tommy. Hey, go get a job." Like Tommy Tuberville. Now Senator Tuberville was in that game, and BYU got that win. Taysom Hill, I think, was the quarterback. What was it, Gunnar Kiel for Cincinnati? That was a throwback, and former number one recruit. It's been a minute since the Cougs were out there in the land of Skyline Chili. But tonight they got to take care of the TCU Horned Frogs, and I caught up with the TCU insider, J.D. Andrus, to get to know what these Horned Frogs are about. Here's my chat with J.D. to get to know the Horned Frogs down in Cowtown. What's kind of the mood around TCU football after a tough loss last week to Iowa State?
Yeah, man, that's the question that everyone's asking the fans themselves. I mean, there's not much right now that they're feeling great about. I mean, even the players, you look at them, you talk to them, and they're not exactly who they were at the beginning of the season. 3 tough losses on the year. You lost to Arizona State in a heartbreaking second half collapse. You went to Manhattan and got embarrassed there in Kansas State, and then you lose to an Iowa State team that's completely depleted. But I will say for now, a lot of the guys that are on this team still are older. A lot of them are playing in their last year. So a lot of them are just playing for pride right now at this point. And sometimes that trumps anything that you're playing for as far as competition wise. But man, I mean, I don't think there's been a low this bad since the loss to Houston last year, whenever they were just completely upset at home right before a bye week.
And I'm glad you brought up that the pride piece, because I kind of wondered, in college football nowadays in this 12-team playoff, once you get to like 3 losses in league play, it feels like, is there going to be guys keeping a wandering eye to maybe the portal in a couple months? So you feel like this TCU team's gonna show up still and give it their best effort on Saturday in Provo?
Yeah, I feel like they should. There's not too many injuries that they're going to have to worry about as far as what's going on around the team. So a lot of these guys, they're really just trying to go out, play with each other for their last few games. I mean, at this point, what we talked about before the bye week was they're playing for potentially a 10-2 finish and maybe backdoor their way into the Big 12 championship. And now they're fighting to essentially not finish 6-6, having to play you guys, then Houston, then Cincinnati. So there's a lot of good teams still on the schedule. So if you're going to roll over, then it's not a good time to, and some scores might get ugly here at the end of the season.
In all 3 of TCU's losses this year, they've had at least 3 turnovers. How big of an issue has turnovers been this year for the Horned Frogs?
That's one of the weird situations, because turnovers as a whole really haven't been an issue. It's like he's talked about, just in the losses, does TCU have the turnover problem? I will say for the turnovers for this weekend with Iowa State, Josh Hoover was wearing a glove for the game, which he normally doesn't do, and he said it took a little bit of adjustment, so that led to 2 early interceptions. He was lights out other than that. And then a fumble from Jeremy Payne, third string running back, you could argue. I mean, it's just a lot of bad luck. Hoover's had a few fumbles on a few missed pulls. He's had 2 interceptions that have turned over from tipped balls. He's had a fumble that resulted from a screen pass that just completely bounced off the receiver's arms straight onto the ground. So I don't think TCU has a turnover problem as more as it's a bad luck turnover problem, and you can't do anything about that.
Talk with J.D. Andrus of TCU on SI, getting to know the TCU Horned Frogs. And Josh Hoover, BYU fans know him all too well. 2 years ago, he put up a massive performance. I think still a career high for Hoover in terms of passing yards in his career. How has he evolved from, that game where he had a breakout performance against BYU 2 years ago to now?
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of all full circle. That was his collegiate debut as a starter in that game against BYU. And you've seen him evolve a lot since then. Last year, you saw him with the big arm and his big ability to make plays, but he had to figure out a way to cut down on his interceptions. He would take too many deep shots instead of taking a safe option when it was needed. Now you're seeing him take the safe option, and you're not seeing him escape out of the pocket. You're not seeing him take as many deep shots as he did last year. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. He's become a safer quarterback, if you will, but he hasn't became the explosive deep ball quarterback that he was before. But I mean that's to say, I mean he's still 10th in the country in passing yards. Like he's got a not number 9 receiver in the country. Like he's still doing everything he does. This offense just is still struggling to click completely the entire length of a game, and I don't think that's Hoover's fault. I think there's other issues around it, but I think Hoover's taken a step up from what he was when he started, but he's not 100% what you envisioned when he took over.
I'm curious, JD, how much of the issues and maybe lack of clicking on the offense this year is tied to the offensive line, or is it other factors?
Yeah, I think a lot of it you can put it on the offensive line. You're looking at Colton Deary, who's been banged up since like week 4 of the season, hasn't been 100% healthy. The left guard, Cade Bennett, has been completely banged up since like week 1 of the season, and he's still playing. You lost your left tackle during week 2 of the season, went to a torn MCL. Like you're playing with guys that are banged up, and I know everyone is, but like TCU doesn't have a lot of depth along their offensive line, and they like to rotate guys in. And so right now they don't really have the ability to do that. You saw the offensive line against Iowa State last weekend, and their first half performance was a really, really big struggle for them. But they were without starting center Colton Deary. In the second half, when he came in, it was a completely different offensive line. Their average rush per attempt went up almost a full yard just from him coming into the second half.
Talking with JD Andrus here on TCU on SI on Cougar Tracks on KSL News Radio. BYU and TCU kick it off at 8:15 p.m. Mountain Time right here on KSL News Radio and ESPN. And I'm curious, JD, too, about the TCU defense. What are the strengths and weaknesses and maybe some key players that BYU fans should know about?
Yeah, I'll tell you the key player right now is Caleb Elarm-Zor. He's a middle linebacker. He's just a complete hybrid type. He could play safety if you need him. Could play, cornerback to cover a slot position. He could play the outside linebacker role. He can just do it all. He's really, really effective in his role. He's great at covering sideline to sideline. He's great in pass coverage. But the secondary as a whole, TCU's known to be a great secondary school. This year, they've kind of taken a step back in that department. Um, Bud Clark, one of the best safeties in TCU football history. He had 2 interceptions last weekend. Like he's starting to pick things back up where he was last season. Devin Deal, outside linebacker, he's been one of the best at generating pressure on the defensive side. He's really kind of grown into this role that used to be a hybrid role of dropping into pass coverage versus just pass rushing. Now he's essentially just mainly pass rushing and doing a great job at it. The defensive line isn't going to blow your socks off, but what they do a really good job of is playing contain and being able to just plug the holes that they need to. This defense has taken a big step up from where they were last year when they were one of the worst in the conference, and a lot of that is just the guys that they expected to have back did come back and did take the step up. You're looking at Devin Deal, Caleb Elamzor, Bud Clark was back. So this defense has pieces, and they've been playing really well. And they're partly the reason TCU has been so effective in games. The West Virginia game, they were lights out. Iowa State, they were lights out. The biggest question for this defense is can they play a full 60 minutes? Once they hit about 50 minutes of the game time, they kind of start to struggle, and you see a different set of team in the last 10 minutes.
And I'm curious as well, if TCU wins this game, it will be because they did what on Saturday night?
Probably just had to outscore BYU because TCU hasn't had a first quarter touchdown in, I believe it's like not they're 12 quarters, 11 quarters, something like that. It's been a long time. They have not been very good at scoring first quarter touchdowns. And that's something that they can't do against BYU. Against West Virginia, they started out slow. Against Iowa State, they started out slow. You can't have that, especially against a team the caliber of BYU, especially playing on the road against BYU and how great their fan base is and that atmosphere. If you're TCU, you had to have gotten off to a good start and you had to have kept your foot on the gas. You're not going to be able to win this game in a 21-18 showdown. I mean, this TCU defense is good and they're capable of limiting, Bear Bachmeier and BYU as much as they can, but not for a full 60. The offense will have to be the one that wins this one.
Very intrigued with this matchup on Saturday night. And JD, what do you remember, if anything, on the old days of BYU and TCU from the Mountain West years? Do you remember those? And do those memories still carry over for some Horned Frog fans?
It's funny you actually mentioned that. I was looking at some discourse on X, the public app, everyone's on it, and there was a lot of BYU fans that were like, I will always be afraid of TCU for what they did in the Mountain West days. And, there is something with that, same with like the rivalry with Utah and Boise State. Like those are great days, but this isn't the BYU, the Mountain West days, and this isn't the TCU, the Mountain West days. So as much as I wish it was, it's not, unfortunately.
That's JD Andrus of TCU on SI to give an insider look into the TCU Horned Frogs. Appreciate JD for being on board with the show today. Let's take a break, and you'll hear from BYU wide receiver JoJo Phillips coming up next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
At Bank of America, we're proud that more than 20,000 veterans and people with military backgrounds have joined our ranks since 2015. Now we're committed to adding 10,000 more over the next 5 years. By helping veterans achieve their career goals, we're moving from appreciation to action, and together helping expand economic opportunity across America. Visit bankofamerica.com/great place to work. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Most folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done, because soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan, because I've spoken with a nutritionist and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way, and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join, and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda,
state of the art.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. On this game day, BYU football gears up to take on the TCU Horned Frogs, and a guy that's, like many on this BYU team, looking to bounce back with a better performance this week. It's wide receiver JoJo Phillips. It was great to see JoJo back on the field, but even he admits last week was a tough spot in Lubbock, and this is my conversation earlier in the week with redshirt sophomore wide receiver JoJo Phillips. Parker kind of stole my question. What he asked you, just here we had a moment, just for people that didn't see it, we had a moment where Parker was asking you with the mic how it felt to be back. Just revisit that. How did it feel to get back and to be back on the field?
It was really good. Obviously not the result that we wanted and not the result how I wanted to come out there and perform, but it's okay though. We're going to get back, regroup as a team and everything, and push our best effort forward for TCU and the rest of the season. But it was just fun to just getting back out there with my guys and being on the field, traveling, and just suiting back up and doing all of that because, I was at home for the past 9 weeks not being able to suit up or anything. So,
well, when you talk about that Texas Tech game, what was the most for the offense, just the most frustrating part of that game?
It obviously be us just not really executing to the full potential like we've been doing, and just not being able to move the ball and like just get on the scoreboard. I felt like, but we learn from film. We know what we messed up on. We know the things we need to fix, and it's going to be better. And we're going to just keep going the rest of the season. So.
When you brought it up, when probably didn't like how the way you played or for that game, when there is moments where it maybe wasn't the greatest performance for the whole offense, like how do the coaches respond to you guys like in practice moving forward? Is it more strict or is it the same approach they've always taken the whole season?
It's just really the same approach. Kalani talked to us on Monday and he was just telling us like the one word that really stuck out to me is just urgency. So just urgency the whole week, just breaking the huddle, just our practice tempo, getting in and out of the huddle. If we're running off the field, getting to the sideline, just urgency, everything just play with urgency and all that. So
when you left due to an injury back at the Stanford game, what were you dealing with that caused you to be out, and how was the build up to get back to the field?
So I broke my left collarbone, snapped in half, so I had to get surgery and everything. And then just once I found out I had to get surgery, it's kind of like down because I was expecting this season like to be like a good season for me and everything. And then, but yeah, just once I had my surgery and everything, I just knew it was time to just get better at other aspects in life and everything, and to help my team, just find other ways to help my team get better and still help and still be out here and be involved in everything. So, but just the first 2 weeks, it was really boring because I was just sitting down, couldn't really do nothing, couldn't move my arm or anything. But after we got past that time, everything was better. I was able to start lifting again, start just getting back out here with my teammates and all of that. So.
How did you stay engaged with the offense and just everything that's going on with this team? What did you do when you were away to make sure that when your time would be arrive again, that you were ready?
I didn't miss no time. After my surgery, I came out here the next day to practice actually, and I was still just fresh out of surgery. Came out here the next day because I just wanted to be out here still around and let them know I still have their back and everything since I'm out. But it was just really just having a script in my hands during practice every day, just still knowing the plays, being engaged with the plays and everything, and just showing up to film and meetings every day and still being engaged and still knowing what we're doing, so that when I do come back, I still know everything that we're doing and just still on top of my plays and everything.
This week, you guys are looking to bounce back to get ready for TCU. What's kind of the demeanor of this offense this week? Are you guys taking Kalani's words to heart with the urgency?
Yes, we are for sure, and just going out there and dominating our plays and executing to the full ability like we're used to and everything, and just the way they were doing before I came back and everything. So that's basically it, just executing and just fixing the mistakes we made last week and not making those mistakes anymore down the road.
What's been your thoughts of Bear when you were watching him on the sidelines, while you're recovering from the injury, and also just his demeanor this week bouncing back from a loss?
Well, just watching Bear, just always see that he's poised and he never gives like anything. He never gets too high or too low. So I just seen that from him like during that game also. Like even though we were down, he would still have poise. Every time he came into the huddle, it was, "Let's go, guys!" Like just giving us words, encouragement, like keeping us up and everything. So yeah, I just see the same thing from him. Just poised Bear, never getting too high or low.
Your thoughts on TCU's defense?
It's a pretty good defense. I was here in 23 when we played them, so it's a lot of like similarity kind of from that year. But they have a good defense. They have a lot of good players all around, so it'll be a fun matchup and everything. A good game to bounce back from Texas Tech and everything.
I'm curious too, JoJo, what gives you confidence that this team will bounce back? Because last year you guys had a loss and it snowballed into two, and you were part of that team. What gives you confidence this year will be different?
Because we already been through the things. We went through it last year, and that's just something that we just been really on top of not trying to let that happen again, not letting the snowball effect happen again. So just like, I know we took an L, but we can't let that affect us. We can't let the L beat us in the next game too, like we did last year. We kind of let our L Kansas kind of roll into the Arizona State game and beat us too. So.
Last thing for you, Joe, just been 2 months since you played a home game. How excited are you for Saturday?
I'm really happy. I can't wait to get back out there in front of Les, in front of the Rock, in front of our fans. It's been a long time. It's been a long 9 weeks, going on 10 weeks now since I've been in front of our home crowd and everything. So I've just been missing. I'm very happy and just very blessed that I get to come back and play and be healthy and stuff again.
And that's BYU wide receiver JoJo Phillips. We're taking a break. On the other side, we'll preview BYU basketball versus UConn next.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Raids targeting immigrants in the U.S. illegally underway in Charlotte, North Carolina, says the Department of Homeland Security. It says the purpose is to ensure Americans are safe and public safety threats are removed. This person says she has immigrant parents.
I do get nervous for myself, even though I know that if I were to be detained, I would eventually be released. But just the thought that I could be detained just because of the way I look and the fact that I speak Spanish.
The mayor, city, and county officials in Charlotte and in Asheville have issued statements against the raids, saying they target unarmed people, sometimes sleeping in their beds at night, and sometimes people who are legal residents. After Jeffrey Epstein emails mentioning President Trump were released this week by the House Oversight Committee, dozens of House Republicans are expected to vote next week to demand the release of the FBI's full Epstein files. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
What we're seeing is President Trump really trying to shift the focus here away from the growing scrutiny on his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And the president is defending his extraordinary order to the Attorney General, to the FBI, to investigate prominent Democrats and their ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and other, quote, people and institutions.
More than 22 million Americans in Southern California on alert for flooding and mudslides. On scene, ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
What they did to prepare ahead of this storm is we saw a lot of residents that were getting sandbags. Some decided to evacuate just as a precaution because they didn't want to be inside their homes in case the worst happened, which would be that big mudslide coming down. We heard from officials they can't stop a mudslide once it happens, which is why everyone here in Los Angeles is on high alert.
One ticket bought in Georgia matched all winning numbers in Mega Millions last night, say lottery officials. This for a jackpot of nearly $1 billion. You're listening to ABC News.
She was the most luxurious ship of her time, a grand symbol of hope and elegance. No other story has captured our hearts quite like hers. Book your passage now for Titanic the Exhibition at the Shops at Southtown in Sandy. Walk through stunning recreations of Titanic staterooms, stand at the steps of the iconic Grand Staircase, and connect with unforgettable stories of passengers and crew. For a limited time in Sandy, secure passage at titanicexhibition.com. The Titanic Exhibition.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Granger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Black Friday deals are back at Scandinavian Designs. For a limited time, discover incredible savings on Nordic-inspired furniture and decor for every space in your home. From statement pieces for your living room to instant upgrades for the dining room, bedroom, and more. It's the perfect time to refresh your favorite space or reimagine your entire home. Scandinavian Designs. We make it simple. You make it home. Stop by your local showroom today or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
Attention Jazz Nation. The long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action. Jump on the opportunity to watch your favorite players live and in person. Whether you're after season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, the Utah Jazz has got your back. There's a plan for every fan. Don't miss out. Secure your seats today and be part of the excitement all season long. Let's go! Visit UtahJazz.com today.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Ritchie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, powered by KSL Sports. It's a game day edition for football and men's basketball, as BYU, number 7 in men's basketball, is ready to take on the number 3 UConn Huskies a little under 3 hours from now. Mitch, we were talking during the break, and I want to pose this question to you again. Where do you think this game ranks in BYU basketball history? Because obviously, like, the tournament games are of more value, but like just regular season, this has got to be like a top 5, top 10 game for BYU.
It's huge. I mean, I would say that it's probably a top 5 regular season game in BYU basketball history. When you consider the quality of the opponent, UConn, I think, is one of the great brands in the sport, and they've been a winner this whole century. And at the moment in time where BYU's at as a top 10 team, trying to prove its worth, I think it's huge. I mean, you could go back to the 90s where there were some games against Maui. Remember when they played number 1 Duke in the Maui Invitational Championship game? That was huge when Maui was a really big deal back in those days. There's been games, but this one's just significant because it creates an opportunity to validate everything that BYU's building. And I don't think you want to put too much stock into games in November 15th because still college basketball, it's a long season. You got so many opportunities in Quad 1, opportunities in the Big 12. So you're going to be fine win or lose in this game. But I think it would just be a real moment to really earn some respect out on the East Coast, because the last time BYU traveled out east, Newark, New Jersey, BYU got hammered against Bama. The last regular season game out on the East Coast with Kevin Young's program, they got crushed by Providence. So maybe you earn a little bit of clout, a little bit of respect out east if you could get this win. And UConn head coach Dan Hurley, when he sees BYU, he's got some respect for the Cougars.
When you watch clips of BYU and AJ and Saunders, they got one of the best point guards in the country. I mean, when you see that quality on film, I mean, you get scared straight. Things that worked the first 3 games won't work. But it's fun. We're excited to get a chance to go play in Boston this weekend versus, one of the best teams in the country. So it should be fun.
Do you buy that? Is that his true feeling, that he's just, we're so scared about BYU? I mean, BYU's talent is really good. They got one of the best trios in college basketball. DeBonsa, Saunders, Rob Wright. They showed you on Tuesday against Delaware, dropping 70 points between those 3. Any one of those guys could go off for 30 points. So that is scary. But do you think that UConn's actually respecting BYU? Because I get the sense that it's like, we've been the BYU, you might think you're the new top dog, but you're coming out to East Coast. We're going to show you what this is all about. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think it was a little bit of tongue-in-cheek. And knowing how Hurley has always been kind of a quote machine, how'd you read those quotes?
Yeah, I can see that, but I also look at it this way, Mitch, because they were able to come to an agreement to play BYU on a neutral court. Not everybody in the country is willing to do that.
This is not a neutral court, Kyle.
I know it's.
This will
I know
not
it's technically
be a neutral
not.
court. This is going to be a pro UConn crowd. BYU is going into a road game.
Sure,
I mean, this is going to be.
But the fact
a
that
revved up crowd.
It's an NBA court. It's big time. It's on network TV. Like, there's a lot to this game.
Sure.
That other teams might not want to face BYU in, and so I'll give Hurley that. The fact that they were willing to play this game against BYU. It's cool for AJ to be able to go back home, hometown game for him. But I do think that, it's one of those games, Mitch, where we're going to look back when the committee's looking at resumes, and this game is going to look good for whoever comes out victorious in this game.
I think that's a great point, because say if BYU's like a 2-seed line, or maybe get crazy and think 1 seed, this game could put you over the top to get into that conversation. So I think that there is some staying power, because I think both of these teams are really good, and they're going to be really good. They're going to be at least Sweet 16 contenders, maybe Final Four good. I think both these teams are excellent. It's just who comes out on top. This could get a real signature victory to any one of these resumes.
Yeah, and you look at the way that both of these teams have framed their non-conference schedules. This is one of those games that's, it's awesome for both teams as far as their schedule before league play is concerned. I think for BYU, Mitch, I'm looking to see how they come out to start this game. If they can kind of weather the storm. You mentioned the fact that it's going to be a hornet's nest for the fan base as far as, UConn fans being there. And it'll be
90 minutes away from Stores.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many BYU fans show up for this game. Obviously, like all the way across the country. So interested to see how many fans travel out. But also BYU has a large alumni base, and so there's going to be fans on the East Coast that make the trip for that game. But
there was a prominent BYU flag today at College Game Day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So BYU fans will always show up, but you're going to be outnumbered in this game. Like what I said this earlier in the week on Cougar Tracks, like what BYU fans dished out to Villanova in Vegas. That was a road game for Villanova, basically. I mean, it was Marriott Center South. You're going on the road. This is going to be Stores. I'm trying to think what's the direction from. I got my Northeast geography in my head is not the greatest, but it's going to feel like a UConn home game. But it's a great barometer. And this is what Kevin Young and Chris Burgess, when they put together the schedule, that's what they wanted. Brian Santiago, they felt like they had a team that had national championship capabilities. Well, here's a national championship type of opponent, is UConn. 2 of the last 3 titles has been Dan Hurley and these Huskies. So you get a real sense of where you're at as a team and a program going up against these guys. So it's a great barometer. I think BYU is going to be competitive in this one. I want to see how BYU stacks up against Taurus Reed, 6'11", 265-pound big man for UConn. Keba Keita, that's going to be the matchup to watch I think, in this game, because can BYU dominate on the glass? That will be critical in this game. That was an area of focus going into the Delaware game, and I kind of think Kevin Young was laying the foundation, groundwork, say, not only for Delaware, but for this one, because UConn will get after you on the glass with Reed, Caravan, 6'8", 230. This is a good team. And Jalen Stewart as well, solo ball. Again, 4 of their 5 starters were guys that were on their team last year. The only guy that wasn't, Silas DeMary, guard transfer from Georgia. BYU pursued him a little bit in the portal cycle. This is a good UConn team. And I think they can also, you go back to 2 years ago when they played Sweet 16 games in Boston and Elite 8 games, they put together massive runs. Can BYU avoid a big 6-0 or 8, 10, 12-0 run against UConn? Because I think in this environment, that could be an opportunity for UConn to really create some separation with some quick runs on BYU. Can the Cougars avoid that? That's going to be huge in this game as well, too.
Yeah, the way that they started off the game on Tuesday, Mitch, against Delaware, that can't happen tonight for BYU, or else it's going to be a wrap early, because UConn they'll put their foot down and they will impose their will. BYU has to be able to start strong, and it will be interesting. We talked earlier in the show about the Moo Davis situation, and Dawson Baker getting his second potential start in a row tonight.
Again, no official word.
No
from
official word
BYU.
on that. I'm just projecting here, and if BYU has to do that again, I'm interested to see, does Rob Wright start the way that he did against Delaware? Does he try and, kind of take over? It seemed like Rob initiated himself into the offense, or injected some life into the offense there by just saying, like, hey, we need somebody to go out and make things happen. A guy to go and get a bucket. BYU has multiple guys that are able to do that this season. And if AJ, I'm interested to see how he kind of plays with this game as well, Mitch, because there's a lot being made about him going back home, and the national stories that have come out about him this week are the stars getting, bright for him. The fact that, at the end of the day, this is just a basketball game. I want to see AJ go out and do his thing. I wanted to see, the publicity that is around this game, how that kind of maybe affects BYU and AJ.
I want to see, too, with AJ and this team in general, the three-point shooting that they showed in the second half against Delaware. I want that to continue against UConn. They knocked down 11 threes in the second half against Delaware. I still believe that BYU's potential and ceiling can be reached only if that three-point shooting is falling. Now, I don't think this is a team where live by the three, die by the three. There's been BYU teams in the past, think back to 2 years ago when they lost to a team like Duquesne in the big dance. That was a cliche, live by the three, die by the three. This team is much better than that. They can win in a lot of different ways. But I still think that this team, that if they want to be the absolute headache for opposing defenses, they've got to be able to knock down the three at a high clip. And I just think, to your point about strong start, I think that would help settle the nerves a little bit, because I'm sure it'll be a loud environment. Knock down a few threes, just settle in, and then it becomes basketball, and then it doesn't become worrying about the crowd. I think this team, you think about AJ, Rob Wright, even Richie, all these guys have played in NBA venues. It's kind of part of the deal. AJ's been playing in NBA venues since he was probably 15 years old. Same with Rob Wright when he was at Montverde. These guys have played in huge stages their whole basketball careers, and they're still young guys. But this is what they do. They're used to this. And I just think it's, again, a chance to see how you stack up against a program that's been the standard, I think, in college basketball this quarter century. And Dan Hurley's one of the best coaches in the sport. And I think, again, if you win this one, to me, you look at BYU and say they're number 2 in the country, right behind Houston, I think, in the rankings, at least number 3. So you'd be knocking on the doorstep of making a case to be the number 1 team in the land. And I can't believe I'm saying that, Kyle, for BYU basketball on November 15th, but
be a massive
that's
win.
What's on the line here.
If you're projecting how the game goes tonight, Mitch, do you think if BYU comes out with a win, it's because they were able to shoot lights out. You mentioned the three-point shooting. Like, what does a win look like for this BYU team? Are they able to have an awesome defensive performance like Keba Keita had against Villanova? What does it look like for a win?
Probably defensively, because UConn probably doesn't want to go into the up-tempo style of play that BYU thrives in. Like, go back to that Tuesday night against Delaware when BYU's getting up and down the floor, man. That's a thing of beauty, the way they were playing offensively. The putback dunk from AJ was outstanding. I mean, BYU, when they're getting up and down the court, they can gash anyone and put it on you quick. So I would think UConn's going to want to try to maybe slow it down a little bit, get deep into the shot clock. So I think BYU defensively has got to be able to be at their best, and that's still maybe the big question for this group, especially with the status of Kennard Davis still kind of up in the air. I mean, on the heels of an alleged DUI, knowing what we know about BYU, we tend to think probably not going to play in that first game after these allegations. Long term, we'll see what happens there. But he's kind of one of the top guys defensively for the Cougars, and they changed quite a bit. Kevin Young acknowledged that after the Delaware game, where not having Moo Davis in that starting five was a pretty big deal to their defensive efforts. But BYU's got to be great defensively. They've got to be good on the glass, too. I think that's where the game will be decided. And then if you can hit those three-point shots, that can maybe put you in a spot to, kind of put things over the top and maybe create some separation. But defensively, that's where this game's going to be won. What about for you, real quick?
Yeah, I think the three-point shooting that you alluded to earlier is going to be the key here. And it was nice to see BYU get into a nice rhythm in the second half against Delaware, because at the end of the day, Mitch, I truly believe that the big three, AJ DeBonsa, Rob Wright, and Richie Saunders, if all three of those guys are clicking, BYU is going to play well in this game and will for the season as well. This season is going to go as far as those guys take them.
Let's get back to the gridiron next. Who's in, who's out for BYU football on the injury report? We'll hit on that next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Hi, I'm Andy, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. As a product development manager, I make sure every piece of fine jewelry at Shane Company is meticulously designed for quality. From 14-karat gold chains, pearl necklaces, diamond studs, and of course, dream engagement rings. We know you can get your holiday gifts anywhere these days, but knowing your loved one's gift was crafted by master jewelers? It's a difference everyone can see and feel, no matter the price. All of our fine jewelry begins with a vision by our in-house designers. Then, we ensure each piece meets our high-quality standards every step of the way, including the smallest details. It's why our jewelry comes with our all-inclusive, free lifetime warranty that covers everything and doesn't cost a dime. At Shane Company, there's no shortcuts, just craftsmanship. Because a friend wants your fine jewelry to be nothing short of perfect. Come see for yourself. Visit us in store or at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Western Nut Company is here to make your gifting a breeze. From our beautiful gift baskets and nut boxes to our famous in-house fudge and brittle, we've got treats for every taste bud, crafted with the highest quality ingredients. Corporate gifting, that's our specialty. Just send us your list and we'll handle the rest. Beautifully packed, shipped with care, and guaranteed to impress. Calling all office managers or executive assistants. Call Western Nut now and let us make your holidays a little less nuts. But we actually do want you to eat more nuts. For 60 years, Western Nut has been a proud Utah tradition. Stop by our downtown shop for unique gifts, glittering ornaments, festive decor, and so much more. Western Nut Company, more than just the best gifts in Utah. We're a holiday tradition, in store or online at westernut.com, where quality meets tradition, and every gift is packed with love.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8050.
8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store. 1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Cougar Sports Saturday is live on this game day. Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland with you. Some crazy scores in the Big 12 today. Arizona State holds on at home against West Virginia. ASU takes down West Virginia 25-23. Mountaineers were up 23-22, but ASU tacks on a late field goal to get the win. They improved to 7-3. Rich Rodriguez and the Mountaineers, they fall to 4-7. That ends their two-game win streak. Officially a losing record in year one for Rich Rod back in Country Roads with West Virginia in Morgantown. But that's the latest on the Big 12. Texas Tech is also just rolling on UCF. Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker, who Joey McGuire's saying, hey, national media, push him for the Heisman. They're making a case. They put him in some offensive plays, and he got an offensive touchdown, Jacob Rodriguez. So they're trying to now play the Travis Hunter card. That is Texas Tech. So crazy stuff there in the Big 12 today. For BYU, they take on TCU tonight, 8:15 kickoff. And who's in, who's out, that's always a big storyline. Who's out for the Cougars tonight, Kyle?
Yeah, some names that have carried over a few weeks now, Mitch. Marcus McKenzie, cornerback, running back Sione Moa, and safety Tommy Prasis. Also, Matthias Leach, another safety, is out. And then on the offensive side of things, Cody Hagan was on the report this week and then has ultimately been ruled out for this game against TCU. That'll be a bummer for BYU's offense because I felt like Cody has had some flashes this season. And, you know, if JoJo Phillips is still kind of rusty coming back from injury, you know, you can never have too many good wideouts.
Definitely. And Hagan started the week at questionable, then downgraded to the doubtful, and now officially out. Prasis dealing with a foot injury. He continues to deal with that. And Sione Moa, it's noteworthy that he continues to appear on the availability report because per the Big 12, a player that's out for the year only has to appear once, and then they don't have to be on the sheet. That's why you're not seeing Che Bryant Strother on the availability report each and every week. So the fact that Moa continues to show up is kind of noteworthy in the sense that maybe they're holding out hope still that he returns at some point. He made his first trip with the team last week in Lubbock since that East Carolina game back in September. So maybe it's getting closer, but still, I don't know what to reasonably expect in the case of Sione Moa there. Hagan, hopefully that's a quick turnaround to get him back in action, because that wide receiver unit, you got Chase Roberts, you've got JoJo Phillips back, you've got Parker Kingston. Next option, Tiger Bachmeier, probably Tay Nakua time, maybe, potentially. We get some Tay Nakua action tonight against TCU, so we'll see on that. For TCU, the noteworthy name is running back Kavorian Barnes. Their starting running back, he is out. TCU is not known to run the football. I mean, they've got an effective ground attack with Barnes, but without him, I would expect a pass-heavy attack from TCU, so BYU's secondary better be ready to take on Josh Hoover and this Horned Frogs passing attack that was excellent against BYU 2 years ago, passing for 439 yards. I'd like to think that's not going to happen tonight, Kyle, but I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it seems like whenever BYU plays TCU, fans always get a little bit leery because there's very few teams that, one, beat BYU consistently. There are even fewer teams that not only beat BYU, but hammer BYU whenever they play. Horned Frogs have a 5-game win streak, so this is a matchup BYU can end a little bit of a losing streak that dates back to the Mountain West days.
Yeah, aside from that game 2 years ago, Mitch, maybe it's what JD was telling you earlier this week. This isn't TCU from the Mountain West, and BYU fans can hope that that is the case because TCU has had their number.
I thought that 2 years ago, and BYU rolls into Fort Worth and loses 44-11. Now, BYU's defense is much better than that group 2 years ago, but still, it's just there's something about BYU and TCU that just makes Cougar fans a little nervous, a little scared. I mean, the last time BYU won was 2007. It's been a long time. It's almost 20 years ago. So it's been a minute since the Cougs got a win over the Horned Frogs. Let's take a break. We'll get to 3 and Out next here on Cougar Sports Saturday. But Imi Sushi here in Provo, excellent sushi to get ready for game day.
Yeah, and the fun thing about Imi Sushi, Mitch, is the fact that it's not just sushi. Like, they have an expansive menu. I was looking at it. It's double-sided. They've got so many options there for you. You've got Chinese food, Japanese food, ramen, sushi. They've got the BYU roll, the Provo roll, drinks, and everything that you could want for a good game day meal. But if you mention KSL's Cougar Sports Saturday, you can get 15% off. A great stop. It's just down the road from the stadium.
Whether you're craving a hot bowl of ramen, fresh sushi rolls, or just a cozy spot to relax with friends and family, Imi is the place to be. And like I said, if you mention KSL's Cougar Sports Saturday, you'll get 15% off. And even throughout the week, Monday through Friday, they got great $10.99 lunch meals with 2 rolls with soup. It's a great spot to go before game day. If you wear BYU gear, you can also get 15% off. So many ways to save money, get high-quality food, and for people that actually care about the craftsmanship behind all of their dishes that they serve to you, that's what matters at Imi Sushi and Ramen. Check them out at 366 North University Avenue in Provo.
The perfect present doesn't always come wrapped under the tree. Treat your loved ones to an unforgettable afternoon or evening of music and laughter with the Utah Symphony at Abravanel Hall. With tickets to our holiday programs this December, you're not just giving a gift. You're sharing a heartfelt experience that will create cherished memories. Show them you care with the gift of music this season. Visit usuo.org/holiday to get your tickets.
At IFA Country Stores, we help grow the things you love. And everyone loves animals. During IFA's Animal Food Drive, for every 10 bags of pet food and livestock feed we sell, we'll donate 1 to feed local animals in need. Stop by your local IFA today to talk with our animal nutrition experts about the best food for your pets or livestock. See details and shop online at ifa.coop.
You gave years, maybe decades to your job. You showed up. worked hard, and planned for retirement. But now, the company's changed, or maybe you've taken a buyout or been forced into early retirement. So, what happens next? I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and if you've built up a 401k or thrift savings plan, now is the time to ask, is that money really working for you? Many workplace retirement plans offer limited options and even less guidance. At Trajan Wealth, we help people just like you roll over their accounts into IRAs with more flexibility and personalized investment strategies built around your goals. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a personalized plan. We operate on veteran values, service, trust, and doing what's right. Your next chapter starts now. Call Trajan today. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. See website for details.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
She was the most luxurious ship of her time, a grand symbol of hope and elegance. No other story has captured our hearts quite like hers. Book your passage now for Titanic the Exhibition at the Shops at Southtown in Sandy. Walk through stunning recreations of Titanic staterooms, stand at the steps of the iconic Grand Staircase, and connect with unforgettable stories of passengers and crew. For a limited time in Sandy, secure passage at titanicexhibition.com. The Titanic Exhibition.com.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Most folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done because soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan, because I've spoken with a nutritionist and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way, and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join, and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Mr. Max, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Max there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Ritchie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, sponsored by Any Hour Services, electric, plumbing, heating, and air. We are a few short hours away from, we're 2.5 hours away from tip-off between BYU and UConn.
I was going to say short hours until football? Gosh, we're still about
football.
5.5 hours.
I got my mind on hoops, and then I'm going to transition as we head our way down to Provo from Broadcast House. We're going to transition slowly this evening into from basketball to football, but it is a jam-packed day of BYU.
I'll admit, though, I'm kind of missing the 10 a.m. game from last week. That was nice.
You liked it?
I like the 10 a.m. games. I like them. I know Cougar fans get a little leery about these vampire Cougs playing in the daytime, but personally, if you give me a choice in November, I want day games. I want 10 a.m., I want noon, I want 1:30, I want a day game for BYU football. Night games in November, I don't know. I feel like the vibes are just different. It's a lot more cold. It's not as energetic as a September night in Provo.
Hey,
you're more bundled up.
You're not one of the fire knife dancers who's out there without a shirt on and
that's a good
freezing
point.
cold, because I don't know how those guys do it.
That's a great poll, because it feels like we've forgotten how exciting home games can be for BYU.
It's been a month.
The last time they were in Provo was the Utah game, and you bring up the fire knife dancers. They had so many fire knife dancers in that between third and fourth quarter for that Utah game. I wonder if they're going to have the same number. I think they had like 12, or did they have like 9 or 12? It was crazy. There was fire knives everywhere. It was fantastic. I'm hyped up to see what the crowd looks like. I just hope that Cougar fans understand it's okay to lose a game in college football. Not all is lost. I kind of just get this sense that Cougar fans
Independence traumatized this fan base, Mitch.
It's one loss. Like, sure, you're not as good as the sixth place team. Okay, fine. But you know what?
People are just shocked right now. They're shell-shocked because they don't want to go to Shreveport, Louisiana for the
Well, they're not going to
Independence
have
Bowl.
that. I feel very good about that. BYU's going to at least have one more win this regular season. They're going to beat UCF. UCF's terrible. Like, Texas Tech's beating them 21-0 right now. And BYU will absolutely crush UCF. There's no doubt in my mind there. So you're going to have at least 9 wins. It just comes down to these 2 games if you want to have a really special season and have a chance to go to the playoff. But I don't know. This whole week it feels like Cougar fans are just kind of holding back their excitement because they're fearful after what they saw last week. Like, folks, TCU is nowhere near as good as Texas Tech. If BYU is as good as we think they are, and I think this is a really good BYU team, they take care of business tonight. But obviously, they got to get that done, and let's break down the game in 3 and out. And with every drive, you start off with first down, and at first downs, we give you a stat to watch in the game. What's a stat that you're monitoring heading into this BYU-TCU matchup that kicks off at 8:15 p.m. tonight?
Yeah, my stat is 9, Mitch, and that is what they rank as far as the passing offense is concerned in the FBS. They are 9th. TCU is 303.4 yards per game. If TCU is going to win this game, Mitch, it's because Josh Hoover beats BYU's defense. I firmly believe that. He's going to be the key to victory for the Horned Frogs. So BYU, if they can shut him down or at least slow down their passing attack, because, I think that BYU's offense is going to perform better than they did a week ago. I fully expect Bear Bachmeier to kind of rebound from his worst game of the season. So if BYU can handle things as far as their defense is concerned in the secondary, the cornerbacks, I'm going to have my eye on them in the secondary tonight.
This was Kalani Sitake on BYU or TCU quarterback Josh Hoover, who Cougars know is a really good QB.
Now he has more experience, and he's got he understands the offense. You see him making checks. He's just a veteran now. Back then, we were hoping that maybe him being new to the scene and inexperienced would be in our advantage, and it wasn't. So now he's a much better quarterback, and you see in the way he distributes the ball to all different receivers, the way that they run the ball, the way that he reads RPOs, and I mean he's a really good quarterback, coached really well, and so this isn't going to be easy, but that didn't go well for us a couple of years ago, and we remember that. So we're going to have to find ways to be better than we were against him the first time around, and we get to have him at home, which is going to be helpful for us.
That it will, and BYU's secondary has to be on point to stop that passing attack of TCU. But I would also say, too, my stat to watch, they got to stop the run. BYU's run defense, Kyle, the number 13. BYU is 13th in Big 12 play in stopping the run this season. They're giving up 175.2 yards per game on the ground. That's a bit surprising considering, I think when you started the year and going into this season, you thought the defense would be the strength of this team, and they were the number one defense a season ago. But quietly, they've been, allowing a lot of yards on the ground. Now, I don't think TCU's the type of team, especially without Kavorian Barnes, their star running back, to pile up big numbers. But I want to see BYU be stout in stopping the run, to not allow Josh Hoover and this TCU offense to have that, keeping BYU's defense on its heels. They got to be really good in stopping the run, because when you take away maybe the sack yardage on Baron Morton last week, Texas Tech's running backs were getting 5 yards per pop. They've got to be better stopping the run this week. So BYU's run defense, 13th in the Big 12. Hard to believe, but that's where they're at entering this game. Second down, we look at players to watch in the matchup. Who are you keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I'm going with the wide receivers that lead each of these teams. Mitch, for BYU, Chase Roberts, I think, is going to be key tonight. I look back at the games that Bear Bachmeier has had his best passing performances of the season. Both of his 300-yard games were also 100-yard games for Chase Roberts, and so I think that that's something to look out for today. I also want to see Chase get into the end zone a little bit more. Last year with BYU, he's only been in the end zone 5 times, Mitch. I think that you need to rely on Chase as your star wideout just to get into the end zone a little bit more. And then for TCU, Eric McAllister on this season, he's got 48 catches for 834 yards and 8 touchdowns. Obviously, their number one target there is a wideout, and so Josh Hoover is going to be looking his way tonight.
Keep an eye out, too, with McAllister, 17.4 yards per catch. Big play receiver is McAllister in TCU's passing attack. The players to watch for me, LJ Martin. And I think the nuance there with LJ, how many touches does he get? Last week, only 16 touches, both through the air and on the ground, 10 carries, 6 receptions. Does LJ get 25 to 30 touches? That's what he needs if BYU is going to be that playoff team. We need to see from LJ, the LJ of old, show up tonight against TCU. And then on the TCU side, I'd say safety Bud Clark, their star senior, 4 interceptions this year. He is a playmaker on the back end of that TCU defense. He's been a mainstay at TCU for what feels like forever. Bud Clark is one to watch, number 21 for TCU on the back end of that defense. In third down, give you some bold predictions. I'll start things off here. I'm going to say, Kyle, that BYU's offense puts up at least 200 yards on the ground and 200 yards through the air. Balanced attack. BYU wants to get back to its identity. I'm going to go bold and say they get back to that, and it's a balanced attack for the Cougars tonight against TCU.
If they do that, Mitch, it's because Bear Bachmeier was able to run the ball effectively tonight, because I don't believe in the running back room behind LJ Martin yet. We just haven't seen it, and so with LJ's health in question, that is a concern for me. For me, Mitch, my bold prediction is BYU is going to do something that Josh Hoover hasn't experienced this season, and that is BYU is going to pick him off 3 times tonight. He only has 8 interceptions this season, but every game that he's had multiple picks, it's only been limited to 2. I think BYU picks him off 3 times tonight. You saw what they did to Rocco Becht a few weeks ago. He had never done that as well, and then they picked him off 3 times in that game, and that was big in BYU being able to come back and beat the Cyclones.
And then that's a noteworthy number, too, because if they get to that 3 turnover mark for TCU 0-3 in games where they have 3 or more turnovers in games. So that would be huge if BYU's defense could come up with those picks. Let's take our final timeout. That was 3 and out for BYU versus TCU edition. Coming up next, we'll give you score predictions for both BYU basketball versus UConn and this BYU football team against the TCU Horned Frogs. Kyle Ireland, Mitch Harper, live here on this Saturday, November 15th, getting you ready for BYU game day action here on Cougar Sports Saturday, and it's powered by KSL Sports.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Amanda, every business needs IT help. And sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't. Or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure. So both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland with you. Texas Tech is for real, folks, if you didn't know that already. We knew that last week, but they continue to prove it. They're up 27-2, PAT pending against UCF in Lubbock. 4:42 to go in the first half. Red Raiders are rolling, and they look every bit as good as the number 6 team in the country. I would argue top 4 good. They should get a first-round bye, in my opinion, now 28-2 is the Red Raiders over the Knights. Let's go to BYU. Where should we start, Kyle? Should we start with basketball or football?
Let's start with basketball.
Let's go with basketball. BYU, number 7 Cougars versus the number 3 UConn Huskies. Score predictions for this big top 10 clash. BYU doesn't get these spots very often, especially, BYU's not in the top 10 very often ever. So this is the first time in 14 years. How are they going to fare tonight against UConn?
I'm going to say that BYU fares well, Mitch.
Oh,
I like it.
Doing this right
I like
now?
this game. I'm going to say BYU pulls out a stunner in TD Garden. I'm going to say a last second bucket does it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to go all hype here. I'm going to go AJ DeBonsa makes a game-winning shot to give BYU a 64-63 win, Mitch.
Wow.
The reason why I like this game for BYU is because BYU has already played a tough opponent in Villanova. And UConn hasn't faced anybody to BYU's caliber yet, Mitch.
When you say that, why is it that I instantly go back to that?
You're sitting here just laughing at my predictions.
I'm like, I love this. I'm just how epic that would be if AJ got a game winner. I would have to pull. I'm thinking in my head where I would go from a content perspective. I would probably pull that line from Blades of Glory where Will Ferrell's like, "That is as sweet as the cream pie in which Boston was named." I don't know, something like that. Like, that just would be so epic and Hollywood, but I'm here for it. Like, sign me up. Lock it in. I'd love that.
Isn't that what this season is about, though, Mitch?
Hollywood?
Not
Dreams?
Hollywood, but it's like this is the dream season for BYU. If the dreams are going to be achieved, if they're going to be reached, if the potential of this team is going to be fully shown, this is an opportunity to have that happen. Obviously, the tournament's the big one, right? Like, that is the ultimate. But I'm looking at these big games here in November and December for BYU. Like, this is the test that BYU wanted to set up, and they wanted to go and pass. So let's go see it.
I would love to see it. I think that BYU is still figuring out a little bit of that chemistry, still on the court. I'm going to say UConn wins this game, but BYU shows well. I think UConn wins 77-71 over BYU, and the Huskies get it done in what will feel like a home game. So I'm going to go with the Huskies. But again, I think BYU will show well, where Cougar fans will come away from that game going, okay, they're okay. Hey, I hope to see UConn again down the road in the NCAA tournament, get a rematch. I just think UConn's really good. And I just, they haven't played anyone yet, but I think that that's going to be a tough environment for this BYU team that is still, I think, sorting itself out with chemistry, and then the whole kind of off-the-court deal with Kennard Davis. Again, we'll see what happens there with that tonight, but I'm going to go with the Huskies there. What about football? BYU, TCU. Football kicks off at 8:15 p.m. I'm sure pregame will get started around 7:15 p.m. That's depending on when basketball wraps up. It'll transition from hoops to football right here on KSL News Radio. I'm going to say BYU takes down TCU. I'm going to go with the Cougs getting the win 27-21. I think they get a sound victory over the Horned Frogs. Maybe there's a case where they need a fourth quarter touchdown to come back and get the win. I could maybe see that. I don't think that'll happen, but I could entertain that thought. Seems like maybe you think this could be maybe a blowout potentially.
I think that BYU has their best 60-minute performance of the season tonight, Mitch.
Okay.
And it's because of
what are we thinking here?
I'm thinking it's because of the loss that they had a week ago, and the fact that they've been saying, oh, we're going to learn things from wins, and obviously you'd rather win or learn from a win than a loss. But I do think that BYU had a good chance this week to look itself in the mirror and really reflect on some difficult things. And if BYU really wants to get to where they want to get to, they have to have one of these games where I look back at the rest of the schedule on this, Mitch, and I'm like, even the Stanford game where they won 27-3, do BYU fans feel great about that performance? And then you look at the Portland State win 69-0, you're like, okay, that's an FCS team. Has BYU felt good about any game this season from the opening kickoff to when the game ended?
Utah game. would be the one I'd point to.
But even that game, Mitch, I'm like, BYU probably should have won that game by double digits.
Oh, definitely.
And so, like, they just haven't played a complete game start to finish, and I expect that to happen tonight because of the loss. I think they're going to really look on, like, the mistakes. I think Bear's going to bounce back. I think that he's going to play much better than he did a week ago. And then, like, the special teams mistakes, like, I think K-Pop's going to be on those guys this week about some of the errors that they've had. They just haven't played clean football for a month and a half, Mitch, in my opinion. So I'm going to say BYU wins 24-10. I just think that they lock back in. They know what's a task. They know what they have in front of them. They have 3 games in front of them. If they win those 3, they get to where they want to be.
And that is the Big 12 championship game, which would likely be a rematch against Texas Tech, who now is up 35-2. Jacob Rodriguez had an interception. So that team is on fire right now.
Heisman?
And I think BYU looks to get back on track as well. I will say that if BYU lost this game, season, I don't want to say it's lost, but the path to Arlington would be really tricky. You'd have to get real creative on those Big 12 tiebreaker websites.
You love looking up the tiebreakers.
Oh, yeah. B. Willis on X, his tiebreaker website. Yeah, at B. Willis, that dude created an incredible Big 12 tiebreaker site. I'm looking at it all the time, drawing up the scenarios. I don't even want to entertain the idea of BYU trying to get to Arlington with 2 losses if they lost tonight, but I don't think they will. I think BYU gets it done. And being back at home, we haven't talked about this much, but think about it, Kyle. 7 of the last 9 weeks, BYU has been they haven't been playing a game at home. So you're talking about only 2 home games in the last 9 weeks. They basically built up this 8-1 record on the road. And I think that speaks to how good this BYU football team is. I think they get back to what you've kind of grown accustomed to this BYU football team, being a sound team that plays complementary football. And I think that's what I want to see tonight as well from BYU is complementary football. When you get a takeaway, the offense then pounces. The special team, Sam Vanderhaar isn't shanking punts. Things like that. Just simple things that then add up to a great result at the end of the day. And I think this will be a good day for BYU football and for BYU basketball. We'll see how it plays out. If it's your prediction, that would be an amazing day.
It's going to be a defensive performance, Mitch.
I'd love to see it. I think that would be awesome to see BYU get a win over a Big East powerhouse like UConn. But we got full coverage throughout the day on KSLSports.com, and you can listen to all the action beginning at 4 here with BYU basketball pregame coming up on KSL News Radio. And if you missed any part of this show, you can listen on the podcast. Just search Cougar Sports Saturday. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can also download and subscribe on the KSL Sports app. We will be back next week, we believe, because we don't know yet with the Cincinnati kickoff, but you'll hear us on Cougar Tracks and here on Cougar Sports Saturday on the legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. To protect the safety of Americans, says the Department of Homeland Security, raids targeting immigrants in the U.S. illegally have been going on for several hours now in Charlotte, North Carolina. For some feeling vulnerable, like Perla Pinales of Salisbury, who has immigrant parents.
The community does care about us, and they care to protect individuals that are being targeted at this time, so that at least provides some hope for the future that people are interested in helping.
Criticizing the raids as arbitrary and sometimes targeting legal residents and unarmed people, city and county officials in Charlotte and Asheville, North Carolina. Going home, the federalized 200 California and 200 Texas National Guardsmen sent to Portland, Oregon, and to Chicago, say 2 U.S. officials. Legal challenges prevented them from being fully operational. After Jeffrey Epstein emails were released this week by a House committee, dozens of House Republicans are expected to vote next week to demand the release of the FBI's full Epstein files. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
This all comes 2 days after the House Oversight Committee released thousands of documents from Epstein's estate. Many of them mention Trump. In a 2017 email to former Secretary Larry Summers, Epstein writes, "I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous." In a 2018 text to an unidentified person, Epstein writes, "I am the one who is able to take him down."
More than 22 million Americans in Southern California on alert for flooding and mudslides. Some have evacuated as a precaution. ABC News forecaster Jeff Benson.
The hot spot of the rain here, which will be SoCal, LA, and the surrounding areas. We could see an inch an hour per rain, all adding up to around 4 to 6 inches of rain. And that in and of itself is bad. Again, you factor in the burn scars, things like that, debris flows, mudslides. You have to be on high alert for this event.
Listening to ABC News.
Are you within 3 years of filing for Social Security? You've heard about delaying your benefits to get a bigger benefits check, right? But guess what? That could be a huge mistake. When you consider your taxes, Medicare premiums, and other benefits, you could potentially get more income by filing early. Find out the precise timing that could get you the most money possible with a free, customized Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. Don't leave one dime on the table that's rightfully yours. Schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, everything you need and nothing you don't.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
You're listening to a pre-recorded paid commercial program brought to you by Boss Retirement Solutions.